Well, now is the time because we are coming close to closing time, and all the distinguished, my fellow panelists, equally distinguished audience, my Bharat Bodh Kendra team here, Geeta ji, Amarnath ji, Sangeeta, because without them this would not have been possible. Friends, today is a very special day. Today is Indian Newspaper Day. It was on this day in 1780 that James Augustus Hickey launched Hickey's Gazette or Calcutta Gazette. It was the first newspaper published in India. That's why Hickey is still considered the father of modern Indian newspaper. And James Augustus Hickey's paper was not a PR pamphlet for the British East India Company. It was a critical newspaper, and he had to face a lot of opposition from the East India Company authorities. And on this day, this was not planned, this is a coincidence. And on this day, at a time when digital media has taken over, and there is a feeling that the Gen Z is no more reading the printed word, and everybody is only going digital, it requires a lot of courage to come out with a print edition. And my compliments to Pranami ji for that, because she really deserves, because I don't see a single advertisement in this. This cannot go on. It requires not only your subscription, as Khatwaji said, but it also requires corporate support in terms of advertisements. And for that, all of us have to support. Otherwise, this won't last for long. She will have to go into digital. But this is, imagine, reading the same thing, this very colorful, publication, reading the same thing in a small mobile phone, how would it look like? So this needs to be not only survive, but also it needs to strengthen in the coming days, enrich further in the coming days. I just want to very briefly say that, we established a few months back the Bharat Bodh Kendra. The whole objective was to promote Indian civilization, culture, arts, crafts, by creating more awareness about it. So those of you who are members of the India Habitat Center would have certainly visited the library. There's a specific segment where we have created a space for Indian art, culture, philosophy, civilization. This apart, we have started a series of lectures, IHC Sanlap series, where we want to go a little deep. Khatwa Sahab was there earlier also. We had Reela Hota's book on Odissi, aesthetics and therapeutics. The whole idea was just not to watch Odissi, but also understand Odissi. And on February 17th, for the Sanlab, we are going to have Shobana Narayan here. And her book, recent book, which has been written by Maya Parijat, will be discussed. We had a workshop, which I earlier mentioned, in which Rajni ji was here, on Natya Shastra. This was part of, because we need to know, because I'm a student of communication, when you talk about Indian knowledge system, the Indian communication theory has its foundations in Natya Shastra. So we need to talk about that, we need to understand this. Then we have started an IHC Bharat Bodh Kendra ICPR study circle, wherein we are having very eminent people talking on Indian philosophy every month. This is in collaboration with the Indian Council of Philosophical Research. So we are having these series, workshops, and when, after a long time, I came back from Bhopal, she has left, Pranami ji has left Kathak Kendra. We caught up recently, and she discussed this idea with me. And I said that Habitat is always there for you. Because Bharat Bodh Kendra, this syncs well with Bharat Bodh's vision. that this country needs a magazine. There are some journals, art journals, but a popular magazine is the need of the hour. And I'm glad that many important issues and aspects have been taken up in the first issue. But I want this to talk about equally more important issues, highlight those great artists of yesteryears and bring them face to face with the new generation to tell them that these artists were there, about their lives. That is very important. We need to talk about new professions like what, the Honorable DG has spoken about the MSME. I think that there's a lot of scope. I'll give you just very briefly 2 instances. When you go to a monument, you have guides who will talk about the architecture. But when you go to a gallery, there are very few people, except the artist, unless he is present there, very few people who can tell you about the art. There are very few people, except the artist. But the guide at the monument is not an architect, but he knows about architecture. We need art guides in this country. We need, whether it is performing art, whether it is, your visual arts, you need art guides. You need people who can curate. Recently, one of my students, she organized a folk dance performance, Anvesha Brahma had organized from Odisha. From Berhampur, she got troops here at the Stein Auditorium. And the poor thing, she was running around all the time. And since she was my direct student, I said, "Bhai, और लोगों को involve करो ना. Why are you doing everything?" "Sir, I am tired. Sir, I am exhausted." I said, "Why don't you give it to this work to somebody else?" "Sir, whom do I give it to? Very few people understand folk arts. I can't give it to anybody. Even to write the brochure, I need people who know about the subject." So there is a lot of opportunities, and scope for youngsters. And I'm sure that these aspects can also be covered in this journal. So there are many aspects. I'm sure you will have a very rich editorial board which will comprise people from all. And also, please do some, I won't use the word investigative journalism, but some journalism in the sense that the shortcomings in some of the leading institutions, what can be done about it, not to highlight the problem, but to bring about the solution. We should be having a solution-centric journalism where we should talk about the problems that some of our national institutions related to art and culture are facing, and how can we let the experts speak. That if there is a problem with NGMA, let people who know, modern art, speak about it, that this needs to be done. There are similarly many other things, aspects which this has the potential, but to begin with, it has come with a bang. And I congratulate Pranamiji, her team for that. And I am happy to see, Vamil, the young Gen Z, also being part of this entire initiative. I can only assure you that, please, IHC is a cultural hub of the country. Every day in and day out, you are having programs here. Some of the finest artists come here. Please don't confine this to only the printed edition. Have your podcasts, have your YouTube channels along with that, and let this be one of your major centers of activity. Whatever we can facilitate, the Bharat Bodh Kendra would be happy to facilitate, for you. And last but not the least, I can only say that, we thought that once she came that this is something which is the need of the hour, and Bharat Bodh Kendra should support this. And I am glad that we supported it. And I only urge each one of you, because I am not at all discouraged by the numbers, because art has never been for the mobs. art has always been for the, not for the masses, but rather the classes. And I have always been taught, because I come from a family of artists. My great-grandfather was instrumental in setting up the Indian Cultural Center at Almora. He was the guru of Uday Shankar. My grandfather was professor of fine arts at Ramindra Bharati University. My daughter is a Bharatnatyam artist. The only exceptions were my father, who was a bureaucrat, and me, I am an academician. We were the odd ones out. But apart from that, I am really delighted that, fewer but better fewer. Those who are there are the people who matter, as rightly pointed out. And thank you for coming, and thank you for patronizing. And keep patronizing Bharat Bodh Kendra also. You have already given your address. Those who are not members of IHC have already given. We will certainly put you on our mailing list, and we will be reaching out to you for whenever the next program takes place. Keep coming, keep supporting, and keep reading Amrapali. Thank you. Good night.